Welcome to Connections with BCD Travel, an ongoing conversation about the modern-day travel program, the impact of technology, and how travel buyers can take control and drive change. What are we waiting for? Let's start connecting.
Welcome to Connections, everyone. I am Miriam Moscovici, and I lead partnerships and integrations at BCD Travel.
Hey, everyone. I'm Chad Lemon. I work in digital strategy and advancement at BCD. Before we jump into today's episode, we want to hear from you, just like always. Head to bcdtravel.com/podcast to send us a message or use the text function on the app you're using right now to listen to us.
So on today's episode, Chad, we are talking about innovation in operations. So to help us do that, we've got two guests with us today. We've got Tanya Green, SVP of Operations, and we've got Rodney Plattner, who is VP of Operations here at BCD Travel.
Yeah, two of my favorites, and I know we're both eager to talk to them, so let's do it. Tanya, when we talk about operations as a whole, what and who are we talking about? Is it just the travel agents that you talk to when you call in for help?
No, when we talk about operations, we're actually talking about not just the frontline staff and consultants that you talk to, but we're also talking about our supervisors, our managers, our trainers, our teams that help with process, and also our customer care teams who research problems that we might have or issues that might arise during a trip or after a trip.
Tanya, I know we're going to dive into technology that powers operations and how AI is changing the game and what that means for everyone listening. But I want to ask you about this tagline first. We keep using this at events like GBTA and around the world. We call it human-centric, tech-driven. So what does this mean to you specifically?
Well, me specifically, it means that we're still focusing on our consultants and ensuring that we're empowering them the best that we can and to the best ability. But we're trying to bring in technology to help with that. So examples are, how do they understand travelers or a company's policy better, and how do you display that in front of them? How do you take out some of the easy work like getting an invoice or an itinerary and empower them so that they can do some of the stuff that's a little bit harder or that really needs someone to talk you through a process. You know, as we move into this new world, travelers want to be self-service. So where do you empower them to be self-service? And then you bring in actual humans to help where you get stuck or where you need them to be at that time or point in time in the reservation.
Rodney, what about you? What does human-centric and tech-driven say to you?
Well, I think it really surrounds the tools that we give the people, right? We want our consultants to be more consultative, but to have the tools at their fingertips to be able to handle whatever happens, whatever comes along. So improving the tools that the people use, whether it involves AI or not, is super important. We need people to be productive and be able to quickly get the traveler what they need without having to jump through a lot of technological hoops.
The human-centric in human-centric tech-driven is the human we're serving and the human that's doing the serving.
It's a great point, Miriam, because I think about the human serving the human, right? That's what comes to my mind. That, to me, that when we're talking about humans and technology, I'm thinking about our consultants and the technology that they have. But it's a great point.
Yeah, and I guess I look at it, I agree. I was looking at it from the consultant, but also how do you enable the traveler to just be more self-sufficient, right? And their human experience with technology. So that plays into everything that we're looking at and how we're designing our future at BCD.
Yeah.
Well, that's the perfect segue into my next question. So let's just jump right into it. How is technology changing the operations game? What is making client and traveler lives easier these days?
I think that self-service is really important, right? So one way that it's changing is we're really trying to, for the benefit of everyone, make sure that people have available to them self-service tools that they can take care of whatever they need to, as Tanya said, the simple things themselves. Also, again, really trying to improve productivity, remove as many steps and remove as many different tools as possible. So again, for the consultant, it's just easy to get things done. We've been talking for years about the different generations and the tools that people need and the way that they interact
Mm-hmm.
with them differently.
Yeah.
I think another interesting point is the level of experience that our consultants have and the tools that they like to use are different in many cases. So if somebody's been doing this for 35 years, they may not be as open to the new technology that somebody that's new to the industry is super excited about. So it's just a different way of looking at the technology. And so I think we have to be very adaptive and very conscientious of is that the right word? Conscious of the people who are using the technology, because it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, and I think too, as we look at it, and especially when you look at it from a traveler standpoint or even a travel manager standpoint, how do we get more proactive with our technology and advising what's going to be happening with their trip, and how can we proactively say we see a disruption and this is what it means and how can we accommodate you, or are you okay, right? Getting ahead of some of that, and understanding what the traveler may need before they know that they need it. And that's some of the things that we're really trying to make sure that we're designing and thinking about as we kind of move into this new technology age. And again, I think Rodney pointed out a good thing. We've got different generations that we're trying to satisfy as well. So how do you satisfy those different generations with the right options that they would want to use?
Well, the digital elephant in the room is obviously AI. So I'm interested to hear how you both talk about this and what it means for agents, what it means for travelers, and how those two answers collide. Who wants to go first?
So I think it's interesting. The more we talk about AI, we start to compartmentalize some things that we use that overarching term AI aren't AI at all. So we're starting to see things that we're applying AI to this or that process when it's not really AI. It's just technology that's being built. So I think that's interesting how AI is kind of being applied for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing, Rodney. I think about as we start looking at what our journey is with AI, we've been applying robotics and technology to our processes for years. I mean, there's robotics that help us with schedule changes. There's robotics that play at the end of a reservation when you're making a reservation. This is just another step for us in how we're automating and moving forward. And it's just a new technology that's being introduced to help with those processes. We're always looking at how we can improve, and that's been going on for years now. It's, again, like I said, just to me, another word that's coming into how we're defining it and using it. But at the end of the day, you're going to always need consultants. You're going to always need a human at the end of the line, and there's always
Yeah.
going to be something that they're going to have to help you out with, right? And that's just not going to go away, because there's just points of a reservation or questions that are going to have to go. I think the path's going to look a little bit different. Maybe you don't start things with an agent; they come in the middle. But I do think that it's transforming how we're looking at stuff. But it's always been in our processes.
And, in the spirit of you saying about how we're always going to need an agent, the work remaining for these types of agents that we're always going to need to have is going to need to be more skilled, more diverse. That's how we need to continue to attract these highly skilled agents that can take care of what's remaining that can't be self-served.
I'm the least developer type mind in the world, probably, but what I have seen is how much more quickly we can have technology developed and make top technology improvements. And I do think that's due to AI. Some of the companies that we're working with, instead of saying we'll build a project and we'll figure this out and we'll look at it and get back to you in a couple of weeks and it's going to take forever, are like, I'll have that done in 5 minutes. We'll still be on the phone, and then that whole programming is done, and now we're testing it. It's mind blowing.
I know I keep harping on it, but can we also talk about what you all are doing specifically for our agents and consultants to make them smarter and faster and better? Because while we're talking about it through the agent lens, it's travelers on the road that benefit from highly skilled, capable people, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're really focused on where can the technology help the consultant out. So we're looking at how do you put policy so the consultant doesn't have to think about policy. It just displays automatically and they can make the reservation and be consultative in what needs to happen. Today, there's a lot of going to find that or going to look it up instead of it just being displayed. So how do you put that into your workflow so that the traveler does feel this great experience? And no matter who they call at what time of day, someone knows exactly who you are, what you're doing, where you're traveling to, and how to process that reservation. And those are the key things that we're really focused on when we're looking at how our workflow is going to look in the next, 1 to 2 years, if not sooner, right? We're gathering all that information now, and how do you gather that and display it so the consultant can focus on those key elements that we need them to focus on, but not have to kind of dig for it or not even know.
Or contact switch.
Or yeah, exactly. Or contact switch, because that's another big thing that's going to start happening. Lots of different switching to different technologies to be able to handle that reservation all the way through. Someone comes in through a chat, then you've got to hand that off to maybe someone who can handle it on a voice call. So how do you have that seamless transition and ensure that everyone knows what took place before and you're not asking those questions over again? We all know how frustrating that can be. I'm sure we've all dealt with that at some point in our life, right?
Never.
Agent.
Agent, exactly.
You're pressing pound really hard on your
Over
phone.
and over.
Representative.
Yes.
What role does operations play in our tech development? And do you have an opinion on the balance between developing tech and developing humans?
Yes.
Go
Please
on.
elaborate.
Yeah,
Go on.
that was very passionate.
Well, yeah. I mean, we want the tools to do what we need them to do, and sometimes if you're not careful, things can start going down the wrong road, and then the technology is finished and it's not exactly what you needed. So yeah, I think the developers and the operations working hand in hand is super important, and we've, I think, done a good job of involving even frontline consultants in that development, that because without them you start building what you think people need and that might not be right at all. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's definitely where operations is tied at the hip to technology. And when you look at our blueprint and the pillars, technology and operations sit in the same one. So we're together leading what this looks like for our organization and ensuring that we're keeping, our consultants at the forefront of what they need and what makes sense and where they think we should be spending time too, or where they hear from travelers that they need their help. So it's key in our success with developing.
I want to switch gears here a little bit because I get this sense of pride that you both have in everything that the consultants and agents are able to do. So, Tanya, I'm interested to hear your take on what makes us, BCD Travel, different in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was going to kind of add this to the last statement and I didn't, but I think what sets BCD apart is our service and that we are invested in our people and that we do want to continue to make sure that we have the right people doing the right things at the right time, right? And, there's a lot of new entrances out there and there's a lot of new technology out there, and that's great. And I think technology is really important. But I think what sets BCD aside is service is our core and our people is our core. And that's definitely what we're developing and will be for the future. I mean, we know that that's kind of our nugget. And I think we want to make sure we're putting the technology in place where it needs to be and that we're empowering our consultants to do the best job that they can do.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to know what you all have cooking right now. What's exciting? What's next? I'm sure NDC and Direct Connects are in this answer somewhere.
We've got some great technology going with groups that I think Rodney can talk about a little bit that I'm very excited for with our group Air Desk. And we've got some really cool technology coming into place with our email and just helping
Mm-hmm.
Bring up the valid points to the top so the consultants can see it. As we know, emails is one of our largest ways of communicating today, which is odd to say, but true. So how do you take all the relevant information and make sure that you're getting that to the top of the consultants so that they can see it? If we don't have all the information, how can technology kind of go back and forth to get that information? How can we send ITINs and invoices without human intervention? We're working on a lot of stuff with our knowledge base and bringing that into the consultants and matching clients as they call in. Rodney alluded to removing some of the prompts so that we have more natural language when you talk to us. So you're not having to prompt that you want to go to, 1 for domestic, 2 for international, 3 for, you can kind of have a conversational piece going. So that's some of the exciting stuff we have coming.
We in the past have kind of chipped away at productivity and technology improvements where literally we would look for seconds. How many seconds can we save on every interaction? And some of this technology we're working on now is 10, 20 minutes per interaction.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The leaps that we're taking. So this group technology is able to ingest from CVent or from a spreadsheet a group of however many people, say 500 travelers, and with the press of a button, send out flight options based on the group parameters. What time can they arrive? What time do they need to leave after? And where are they coming from? All from all different places. And it's so crazy, it's so fast that we have to throttle it so it doesn't break other technologies behind it. So instead of an agent looking through, okay, this person's coming from Poughkeepsie, and what time do they get there and what flights? 500 flight options just go out instantaneously, and then those people can click on which one of the options we sent they want. We can send 1 or 5 or whatever, and it comes back, books it, and we can send it through our technology to be ticketed. So the productivity and time savings of something like that is mind-boggling.
Yeah, huge. What really grinds your all's gears right now?
What grinds, well, in a bad way or a good way? I think in a good way, what grinds my gears is I'm excited to see us move and move quick, right? I think we're moving I get excited when we're moving into the future and kind of staying out of that. We've always done it this way. This is how it's happened. I love seeing us embracing how we're going to be working in the next 5 years, and that makes me excited. At the same time, I want to make sure we're staying with that pace and moving that fast, right? And so but there's both of those kind of things, and the industry is changing probably the fastest it's ever changed, which is funny to say because it didn't change for so long, it feels like. But now it's like at this pace of, so how do you also keep up with all of that and the expectations? Because a consumer site is very different than when you're dealing with a corporate site, right? So the expectations, how do you level set those of what's happening with corporate? And I think that's sometimes really hard, and bringing people along for the journey, because I think a lot of people are sometimes stuck in that, how we always did it.
Yeah, something that I think we're, like you said, we're in a different place now, but that used to really just make me so upset is when things that seem
just say it, Rodney.
When it used to grind my gears.
Yeah.
When people we'd have technology that seemed so simple, and it would take so long to implement it. Yeah. Like, why is this so hard?
For sure.
But it seems like we're really moving out of that, which is exciting.
Yeah, exciting all around.
All right, last question, you two. What is the one thing you want our listeners to know about operations and advancements and innovation that's happening right now with you guys? Rodney, why don't you go first?
Because I want to go. Before you said advancements and technology or whatever you said, I was going to talk about the people again. Gosh, I mean, we have the best people in the industry, bar none. And that's the difference. It's the secret sauce. It's what's magic about BCD Travel. Our people are passionate and amazing and smart, and the things that they go through to for our customers, it's awesome. I love it. And, so many things, the fact that we're virtual and we can give people what they really want, which is to work from home, is awesome. But yeah, I think that doesn't really answer the question you asked, Miriam, but our people are amazing.
Yeah, I think I go with the same thing. Our people are amazing, from, our leadership down to the tech teams, but also just to the consultants. I think that's, again, what sets us apart. But I'm super excited about the new technology and how we're really focused on how you focus on the traveler and the traveler needs, along with what we're trying to do, coupled with the people, right? So what can we do for the traveler, and how are we making that journey better, and then coupling that with this great service and innovation? And I think that's what sets us apart, especially in our operations. And we've got really strong people who know how to do that. That have been in the industry for a while, and also new people who haven't been in the industry that are feeding us what they think that should be. So I think that's what sets us apart, is we've got the innovation and the new tech coupled with that great service and just really good, strong people.
I think the era that we're moving into with some of these solutions, especially in operations, is, when you used to get a phone call for a business trip, you were trying to fit the caller into a prescribed template type experience that you needed to use in order to interact with the different systems you had, the technology systems you had to access inventory and make bookings. And today, the solutions are being designed so that when the unique traveler calls on the phone, all of the technology sort of molds around them. Now you're framing the experience around what that individual caller needs, and not needing to just sort of get through the next phase of like a video game.
Yeah, could not have said it better myself. And I think it's the perfect example of, how we were talking about, human-centric, tech-driven. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for connecting with us. BCD Travel helps companies travel smart and achieve more. We drive program adoption, cost savings, and talent retention through digital experiences that simplify business travel. Learn more about the topics you heard on this episode by visiting bcdtravel.com/podcast.